Let's talk about something kind of weird that happens in the stock market. We're always told it's a level playing field, but it turns out there's one group of investors in Washington, D.C. who just keep winning, and how they do it isn't really a secret at all. Just take a look at this. You've got us, retail investors. We're lucky if we even keep up with the market average. Then you have the big shot hedge funds, right? The pros with all the fancy algorithms, and they struggle too. But then there's Congress. And that's not just a little bump. That is a massive gaping chasm in performance that just doesn't make any sense. And the numbers are, well, they're just wild. A major academic study found that U.S. senators were beating the market by around 12% every single year. Now, to put that into perspective for you, if you started with 10 grand and got a 12% return, you triple your money in about 10 years. That's the kind of performance Wall Street dreams of, but for some reason in Congress, it's just normal.
So you have to ask, right? How is this even possible? Are they all secretly investing geniuses? Or is something else going on here?
Okay, so let's dig into this, because from a numbers perspective, a pattern this consistent is basically impossible without some kind of hidden cheat code.
So on one side, you have everybody else, you, me, even the hedge funds. We're all playing the game using publicly available information. And on the other side, you have Congress, a group of people with, let's be honest, no special training in finance, and yet they consistently beat everyone. So what's the difference?
Well, when you strip everything else away, you account for luck, for skill, for timing, you're left with just one thing. The only real variable that separates Congress from every other investor is their incredible access to information the rest of us just don't get to see.
And this brings us right to the heart of the matter, a concept that economists have a name for.
It's called asymmetric information. It's a fancy term for a really simple idea. One side knows something the other side doesn't. It fundamentally breaks the system and creates a totally unfair advantage. And for Congress, this isn't some rare occurrence. It's just part of the job.
And we're not just talking about getting a little heads up on the news. This is like having a script for the future. They're sitting in briefings where they find out which companies are about to land huge government contracts or which industries are about to get hit with new rules. It's practically a crystal ball for the stock market.
Let's be absolutely crystal clear here. If you or I did this, if any corporate executive traded on this kind of information, we would be investigated, and we'd probably be facing serious jail time for insider trading. But for members of Congress, it just seems to be another Tuesday.
So why in the world isn't this illegal for them? Well, there was this big attempt back in 2012 to fix the problem, but as we're about to see, the fix was more for looks than anything else.
It was called the Stock Act, and on paper, it sounded great. It was all about transparency, requiring them to disclose their trades. But in practice, it's been a total failure. It didn't change the pattern of behavior one bit. It was a smokescreen.
So, why is this law such a paper tiger? Well, it's pretty simple when you look at how it's designed. First, you have to report on yourself if you violate it. The fines are a joke, often just a couple $100, which is way less than the profits they can make on a single trade. For prosecutors, the burden of proof is so high it's almost impossible to win a case. And the best part? The people in charge of oversight are their own colleagues on internal committees. The whole system is basically designed to fail.
And that gets to the heart of it, right? All this so-called transparency without any real enforcement, it's just theater. It's a performance to make us think something is being done. In fact, the only thing the Stock Act really did was create a whole industry of websites that track these trades, so now other people can try to copy them, which just messes up the market even more.
All right, so you can imagine this system gets defended, right? Let's go through the most common arguments you'll hear and, just pick them apart.
Okay, first up is the old, "Oh, it wasn't me, my financial advisor did it" excuse. Come on, that just doesn't fly. Advisors work for their clients, and these trades line up way too perfectly with a lawmaker's committee work. It's not a coincidence when someone on the Armed Services Committee suddenly makes a brilliant investment in a tiny defense contractor right before it gets a massive contract.
Then you get the classic correlation is not causation line, which, sure, is true in a vacuum. But look, if you see a guy holding a crystal ball and he wins the lottery every single week, you don't really need a data scientist to tell you what's probably going on. The information advantage is the only explanation that makes any sense. And my personal favorite, well, what about their families? Their spouse could just make the trades. Honestly, that's just an excuse for doing nothing. It's not a reason to give up. It's a reason to make the rules stronger and include families. We already do this for federal judges and high-ranking military officers. Why should Congress be any different?
Because at the end of the day,
This isn't about pointing fingers at a few bad actors. This is about a system that's fundamentally broken. You don't fix a corrupting architecture by just hoping for better people to show up. You have to rebuild the architecture itself.
And, when you zoom out and look at how other democracies handle this, it's pretty telling. The US isn't just a little different, it's a complete outlier. Pretty much every other major Western democracy looks at this and says, yeah, that's a massive conflict of interest. And they put in strict rules like blind trusts or forced divestment. The US is the exception, not the rule.
But the solution here isn't some complex mystery. It's actually really simple. Just ban lawmakers, their spouses, and their dependents from trading individual stocks. Period. Make them either sell their assets or put them in a real blind trust. Set up big automatic fines for breaking the rules and get an independent group, not their friends, to enforce it. This isn't rocket science.
And for anyone who starts screaming that this violates their personal rights, let's just be real for a second. Public service is a choice. Nobody is forced to go to Congress. When you take on that kind of power and public trust, you also accept that there are conditions that come with it, conditions designed to stop you from abusing that power. It's really that simple.
This issue gets right to the core of why so many people have just lost faith in our government. That feeling that the game is rigged, it's not people being cynical. It's people recognizing what's right in front of their eyes, a system with one set of rules for the powerful and another set for the rest of us.
And that's what it all boils down to. We can't build a system that relies on trusting politicians to do the right thing. Good governance is built on architecture. It's about creating a system where the temptation is removed entirely. So the real question isn't whether this is a problem. The question is, are we just going to keep letting the foxes guard the henhouse? Or is it finally time to build a better house?